Hi, everyone. We're Team One, and we're presenting our integrated campaign for Brew Street Coffee, your neighborhood cup. Our campaign is designed to make Brew Street the easy, trusted neighborhood coffee habit that nearby young professionals choose again and again. The team includes myself, Andrew, leading brand strategy, Kathleen on creative direction, Davin on media and post strategy, and Jennifer on creative execution and measurement. Now, together, our work moves from research and strategy into the big idea, integrated execution, and ultimately, how we'll measure and optimize the campaign. Brew Street already has the foundation of a strong neighborhood cafe, quality coffee, friendly service, and a welcoming atmosphere. But that experience hasn't translated into consistent growth. Revenue remains essentially flat, later day demand is uneven at best, and outdated digital information creates unnecessary friction for nearby customers. Our research explained why, though. Directionally, four of our five respondents identified convenience or proximity as a barrier, and four of the five ranked the neighborhood routine message first. Secondary research also showed strong specialty coffee engagement among adults ages 25 to 39, helping us prioritize ages 25 to 34 as our core audience, with ages 35 to 39 as secondary reach. And that led to our central recommendation: make Brew Street the easy, trusted neighborhood coffee habit people return to. These three numbers that are on your screen really frame both the opportunity and the challenge. First, 69% of adults ages 25 to 39 consumed specialty coffee in the previous week, and showing that our intended audience is already highly engaged with this category. But interest alone does not guarantee repeat visits. Four of the five survey respondents cited convenience or proximity when choosing another option, while 54% of Brew Street's own sales are still concentrated between 7 and 10 a.m. Now, our research also showed that customers commonly rely on walk by visibility, recommendations, Google location, and accurate hours when choosing cafes. Now, with outdated digital information and no website, Brew Street creates friction before customers even arrive. So, the challenge is clear: make Brew Street easier to discover, trust, and build into customers' weekly routines. Now, before deciding how Brew Street should communicate, we wanted to stay grounded in who the brand already is. Brew Street is friendly, unpretentious, and neighborhood first, with quality coffee, approachable service, and a relaxed environment where customers can work, meet, or simply take a break. Now, those qualities naturally led us to the everyman archetype. Rather than competing through exclusivity and coffee expertise, Brew Street's strength is familiarity and belonging, acting more like a welcoming neighbor or a host than any authority. Now, that distinction also guides our creative choices. The campaign should feel warm, conversational, and locally grounded, using people and recognizable neighborhood moments instead of overly polished product shots. Ultimately, the goal is to make Brew Street feel familiar enough to become part of customers' everyday routines. Maya, 29, represents our core audience of nearby young professionals ages 25 to 34, especially renters and newer apartment residents. Now, she drinks coffee regularly and values quality, welcoming local spaces, but convenience, proximity, and existing habits still shape where she actually goes. Now, she commonly discovers cafes through walk by visibility, recommendations, Google search, and maps. And Pew Center research also shows that social platform use varies meaningfully by age, which supports using different channel emphasis across our core and secondary audiences. Ultimately, Maya wants a cafe that feels like one of her places, but extra effort or uncertainty sends her back to the easiest, most familiar option. And now I'll hand off to my fellow teammate, Kathleen.
So, what did our research actually tell us about how these customers think? Here's a thing that kept coming up: people want a neighborhood cafe that feels like theirs. But when it comes down to it, convenience always won. If there's any extra fiction, so not knowing if Brew Street's open, where exactly it's located, and what's even on the menu, people just default to whatever is easiest, even if it's not the place they'd actually pick if things were equal. That is really what shaped our positioning statement. For nearby young professionals, ages 25 to 34, who want a personal coffee routine without giving up convenience, Brew Street is the neighborhood cafe that makes everyday coffee feel familiar and easy to come back to through quality drinks, approachable service, and a setting that actually feels like community. So the takeaway here isn't that we need to convince people Brew Street is good. They already sort of know that. It's that we need to make it easy. Given that insight, here's where we focus our energy. Three business objectives, really: getting people to come back more often and grow transaction volume within that 1 mile radius, building up the afternoon and evening hours so we're not so reliant on the morning rush, and moving fast on the roughly 2,200 new residents nearby before they lock into someone else's coffee habit. We thought about this in terms of what people need to know, how we want them to feel, and what we actually want them to do in terms of our communication objectives. Knowing accurate hours and location, feeling like Brew Street is somewhere dependable and not just a nice option, and doing something concrete. So, showing up in the afternoon, signing up for the Neighbors Club. And we didn't want this to be vague, so we tied it to real numbers. Growing past 847 average weekly transactions, past the average 148 afternoon and evening visits a week, and growing our email and website presence, and actually shifting occasional customers into regulars. Put simply, our goal is this: get young professionals who default to chains or home coffee out of habit to come to Brew Street on a weekday afternoon or evening and make that a regular part of their week just by being the easiest, most trusted option nearby. So, how does this all come together? We landed on the big idea of Brew Street becomes the neighborhood's default coffee habit, so familiar, so effortless to choose that it closes the gap between what people actually want: a personal, their place cafe, and the convenience that too often pulls them somewhere else. It's not just where the neighborhood gets coffee, it's where the neighborhood feels like one. This fed into our tagline, Your Neighborhood Cup. And it isn't just a nice tagline, it's genuinely doing work for us. In terms of an information gap, Brew Street will have an updated Google profile and a real website directly fixing this, which is what makes familiar and effortless actually true and not just something we're saying. It also ties straight back to our objectives. Every afternoon and evening trial visit, every sign up for the neighborhoods club is this idea in action. It fits who Bruce Street already is, leaning into that neighborly, everyman feel instead of trying to be something the brand isn't. And because it's built around habit and belonging rather than a single promotion, it can keep going into a loyalty program, seasonal events, welcoming new residents, long after month 6. That's the idea. Everything else in this plan is built to support.
Thanks, Kathleen. To bring your neighborhood cup to life, we mapped our entire media strategy across an integrated POES framework: paid, owned, earned, and shared. Rather than treating these as separate campaigns, each channel hands off to the next along the race customer journey. Starting with paid media, our focus is driving top of funnel reach and act by developing hyperlocal Instagram and TikTok ads targeted strictly between 1 and 5 p.m. within a 1 to 2 mile radius. We intercept nearby professionals and residents during that daily afternoon slump before rival habits form. Next, owned media. Owned media moves prospective guests from act to convert by optimizing Brew Street's Google business profile, refreshing the mobile site, and launching an SMS and email neighbors club. We eliminate information friction and capture critical first party data. For earned media, we build third party credibility to drive, reach, and convert. Partnering with local Atlanta lifestyle press, neighborhood substacks, and apartment community managers for welcome nights validates Brew Street as a neighborhood's go-to spot. Finally, shared media sustains long-term engagement, leveraging user-generated content under the hashtag MyBrewStreetRoutine and hosting customer spotlights turns everyday regulars into active brand advocates who organically spread the word. Moving to the next slide, We're rolling out this strategy over a 6 month campaign flight divided into three distinct structured phases that align directly with our budget allocation. In phase one, months one and two, our focus is foundation and discovery. We immediately fix digital friction by optimizing our web and search presence, launching our targeted 1 to 5 p.m. hyperlocal ads, and begin hosting apartment welcome nights to establish an immediate presence with new local residents. In phase two, months three and four, we shift into trial and conversion. We roll out the Neighbors Club with a 20% welcome pass to incentivize repeat afternoon visits while simultaneously pitching local Atlanta lifestyle press and media outlets to build buzz. In phase three, months five and six, we scale routine and advocacy. Here, we double down on our hashtag My Brew Street Routine social campaign and introduce monthly customer spotlight rewards to turn initial trial into a lasting habit. Our budget split directly our budget split directly mirrors this funnel strategy. 45% goes to paid media to aggressively drive top of funnel reach during quiet hours, 25% to own media to build digital infrastructure and capture data, 20% to earned media for PR and local events, and 10% to shared media to reward organic community engagement. Here's what that paid and owned strategy looks like in practice. For our paid social strategy, we designed a target A and B ad test called the Afternoon Slump Interceptor, delivered to mobile devices within a 1 to 2 mile radius during the critical 1 to 5 p.m. window. Version A, our routine and reset angle, leads with emotional comfort, your neighborhood's afternoon reset. Version B, our speed and convenience angle, our convenience and speed angle, leads with functional reliability. Skip the guesswork, always open, always yours. We will measure performance by tracking click through rates and 7 day welcome pass redemptions. We predict version A will win because its focus on personal reset directly taps into the emotional belonging driven appeal of our everyman brand identity. On the own side, our Google profile and website refresh replaces outdated listings with verified hours, directions, and a frictionless one tap sign up for the neighbors club. In exchange for a 20% welcome discount on their next afternoon cup, we capture first party contact data and turn online search discovery directly into a scheduled physical visit. I'll now hand it over to Jennifer to walk you through our in store, earned, and shared creative executions alongside our campaign measurement plan.
Thanks, Davin. These last three executions round out our creative. For owned and in-store, a simple tabletop QR code at the register gives current customers an easy way to join the Neighbors Club and helps Brew Street capture first-party contact information they don't already have. For earned, our new resident and neighbor welcome night, hosted with nearby apartment managers and pitched to Atlanta's lifestyle press, puts Brew Street in front of new residents early with a free tasting before they build routines elsewhere. And for shared, the My Brew Street routine hashtag encourages regulars to share their coffee walks, friend meetups, work breaks, and everything else under the sun, while a weekly customer spotlight turns loyal guests into organic advocates. Across all five executions, the through line is the same: welcoming, familiar, and effortless. That's how we ensure every touch point brings the big idea to life. None of this matters if we can't measure whether it's working. That's why each objective has a clear metric, data source, and target. This gives us a way to track progress throughout the campaign rather than waiting till the end to see what worked. Weekly transactions, tracked through the POS system, need to increase by at least 10% to reach 932 transactions per week by month 6. PM daypart share, measured through POS timestamps and Welcome Pass redemption codes, should grow from 25 to 35% of sales, along with a 20% lift in redemptions. For new resident capture, we'll use welcome night check-ins and referral codes with a goal of engaging 15% of new residents, which is about 330 people, within 6 months. We'll also measure occasional to regular customer migration, owned channel growth, and community engagement at the same way. Every objective has a specific metric, a clear source, and a measurable target, so you can see what's working, what needs to change, and keep the campaign focused on the results. So now that we've walked through all the different types of measurement for this campaign, I'd like to go over the review cadence and our optimization loop. So we'll review performance on 3 different cadences because each channel moves at a different pace, and that gives us opportunities to make adjustments at different places. Paid media needs to be reviewed weekly so we can quickly identify what's working and adjust targeting or creative before we waste budget. Owned channel growth and PM sales mix will be reviewed monthly, giving us enough time to see meaningful trends without overreacting to short-term changes. Then, at the end of months 2, 4, and 6, we'll do a full review on the pose and race plans against our success criteria to evaluate the bigger picture and reallocate budget where needed. We also built in a simple if-then optimization loop. If paid CTR underperforms, then we'll shift budget to the strongest creative. If Welcome Pass redemptions fall short of our lift target, then we'll test a new offer. If hashtag volume starts to slow, we'll increase the spotlight incentives. This gives us a clear process for responding to the data instead of just waiting until the end of the campaign to make a change. Most importantly, it keeps our strategy flexible while making sure every single decision is tied back to performance. Here are all of our references in APA format, and that's your neighborhood cup, turning Brew Street's convenience gap into an opportunity to build stronger customer relationships. We've taken the insight and carried it through strategy, execution, and measurement so everything connects back to the big idea. Now we're happy to take any questions. Thank you.